You've in all likelihood visible or heard of great prison breakout films like Pappy, Prison Break or Mine on Public Favored, Shawshank Redemption. Some other one is Escape from Alcatraz. However, if you have not visible it, then it's fantastic that you're looking this video for a brief history of the actual occasions that the film is primarily based on. Escape from Alcatraz became accomplished by way of Morris and the Anglins, and despite the fact that feels like a rock album by an 80s United Kingdom boy band, it's really one of the largest mysteries in American history, with 4 criminals masterminding one in all the best jail escapes. Let's get into the tale. Alcatraz Federal Reformatory turned into also known as the USA Penitentiary, Alcatraz Island, and become widely seen as getaway proof and the maximum relaxed jail in the US of Alcatraz is an Arabic phrase meaning the rock, as it was constructed on an island simply kilometers off San Francisco, California. The primary prison changed into constructed from 1910 to 1912 as a army prison. However, the Federal Bureau of Prisons took over the ability tighten security, and via August of 1938, Alcatraz Jail have become the destination for the USA's toughest criminals, the ones who dedicated the maximum heinous of crimes, or individuals who had prompted troubles or attempted escape at different federal prisons. Exceptional members of Alcatraz include Al Capone, Gadget Gun Kelly, Creepy Corpus, and lots of extra. The jail became thought of as inescapable because of the 2 stages of safety it had in its first 12 months. Uncle Sam's Satan Island had 242 inmates and 155 personnel members. This gave it the bottom ratio of prisoners to guards in any American prison at the time. Consequently, any attempt to escape in a belligerent manner could show futile because it did on several events. Our escapees, however, had been privy to this and took a distinctive and resourceful technique, but passed the airtight safety within the facility. Other parts of the jail and the island were also secured with barbed wire 25-foot fences and shield towers wherein escapees will be without problems gunned down from. It became Mother Nature that furnished the maximum daunting project, however, because for absolutely everyone that controlled to make it to shore, you had to make the swim from the island via cold waters without death from hypothermia or drowning. Houdini could have a tough time beating Alcatraz, so how did our escapees do it? Nicely. Permits meet them. We could. First up is Alan West, who was the oldest member of the Alcatraz Federal Prison. The various escape planners he managed to get arrested over 20 times in his existence. After he attempted to escape Florida Nation Prison, he became transferred to Alcatraz in 1957. Up next is Frank Morris, who turned into usually considered to be the neatest within the group and probable came up with the whole breakout plan. Now not simplest, become he the smartest within the group. Morris additionally had an IQ of 133, which positioned him within the pinnacle 2 of all individuals. At the time, Morris had already escaped from the Louisiana Kingdom Reformatory, best to get arrested a year later committing a burglary he turned into, then sent to Alcatraz in January of 1960 to prevent him from making any other great escapes. But he changed into likely the maximum vital person in coming up with the plan, seeing as he turned into clever and had spent his early years serving lunch to prisoners. He already knew what prison seemed like and had experience breaking out of prison already. Eventually, we have John William Anglin and Clarence Anglin, additionally known as the Anglin brothers. The brothers from Georgia were born to a family of 13 children, and despite the populous density, they had been stated to be inseparable as children. They remained inseparable even after John became transferred to Alcatraz in 1964, trying to break out from the Atlanta detention center due to the fact Clarence followed in shape and were given transferred to Alcatraz in 1961. One vital aspect of their youth is they were really excellent swimmers. When the family could go down to Michigan, they swam in Lake Michigan's very icy waters to the amazement of their different siblings. I think you recognize in which this is going. The four inmates in this tremendous escape were already acquainted with every different from past incarcerations in Florida and Georgia, so seeing because the conditions of the power had been step by step deteriorating, and the truth that they had a previously a success escape inside their ranks, they determined to register to get adjoining rooms in Block B of the constructing. The first boundaries they had to get via within the jail would be the heat dealt with steel doorways of cells and other jail doorways. The doors were device-proof and impossible to saw through with something. The prisoners had the alternative of getting the keys to open every door they had to get through turned into not possible. That is where their Block B cells came into play, due to the fact if you can't get via the door, then make every other door in the wall, and that is what those four guys did with the help of discarded saw blades, steel spoons, and a crude electric drill improvised from the motor of a vacuum cleanser. They managed to regularly create holes to widen the ventilation ducts of their cells. The ventilation ducts brought about a corridor, which brought about a vacant pinnacle degree. They did their drilling during music hours so that the noise could be masked, and they also protected up the defaced wall with painted cardboards past the corridors. They could get admission to the vacant pinnacle degree and paintings on their getaway plan and tools there, because it became quite a whole lot and guarded. No matter Morris being appeared as the grasped planner and West the least highbrow of the bunch, it changed into West, who virtually discovered that they could get right of entry to a ventilation shaft that brought about the top of the roof. Their plan had simply come to be an awful lot less difficult on the grounds that they failed to want to pass through any gates or get any keys from guards. Consequently, their paintings in the vacant top stage sincerely involved building a raft, existence preservers, and paddles that they could use to get throughout the most infamous workforce at Alcatraz. The waters, the use of the layout they were given from a famous mechanics magazine, and well over 50 raincoats they managed to collect. They built the life preservers and a 6 by means of 14-foot raft. They stitched the raincoats together and used steam pipes to seal them. And I recognize what is in your thoughts. How did no person be aware once they had been away from their cells properly in what might be the most creative thoughts of all? They camouflaged their absence through cautiously crafting dummy heads. They made use of concrete dirt, toothpaste, soap, and toilet paper to craft this modern paintings of artwork. They completed their heads by means of attaching some hair on them, and since Clarence Anglin worked as a barber, they could without difficulty get hair from the barbershop ground. That is the result. Creative isn't always it. The damaged nostril is from when the guards attempted to wake Morris up the following morning. Simplest for the pinnacle to roll off and hit the ground. How would you react if you have been the shield that morning, seeing the head of an inmate roll off their mattress? Anyway, the escapees set their prison destroy strive for the 11th of June 1962. 6 months after they had all started their plan by using getting adjoining cells, and after lighting out they set their dummies in location, removed the cardboard protecting the gaping ventilation shaft, and set for the roof. However, like maximum boy bands, the team would lose their oldest member, Alan West. You see, West used concrete to maintain his cardboard camouflage in vicinity over the ventilation shaft, so while it changed into time to get shifting, the concrete had dried. He struggled to get it open, and he did, however. While he were given to the rendezvous factor, Morris and the Anglins had already left. Without him, Alan West did what any reasonable guy would do. He back to his cell and went again to sleep from the top of the roof. Morris and the Anglins had slid 15 toes down a kitchen pipe from the roof before mountain climbing the barbed twine 12-foot fence earlier than heading to the coastline. They located a blind spot from the shield towers and searchlights wherein they inflated their raft. The use of a modified concertina in step with estimates they completed and set the raft on water. Round 10 p.m. they had beaten the jail, which changed into touted as inescapable. They'd fooled all the gods and safety systems, but did they beat the Florida waters properly? The consensus on the character of their aquatic journey isn't always unanimous. There are two assumptions as to what befell that night time. One is that they failed to survive the swim due to the tides, the cold, and the truth that there had been no recordings of a stolen vehicle, which would have been necessary for them if they were given to land. The second assumption is that they survived the adventure. When you consider that till nowadays our bodies have not been determined, that is pretty uncommon. Former Alcatraz inmate Darwin Kuhn had this to say: the reason I assume they made it, why they got away, was due to the fact each person else that tried to get off this island was accounted for. The ones 3 men are still unaccounted for nowadays, so that makes me suppose they got away. And he is right. It is pretty atypical that none of the escapees' our bodies were ever discovered, mainly on the grounds that professionals say that with instances of drowning out of 3 bodies are recovered. Furthermore, own family participants of the Anglin brothers say that they got and signed postcards over time, and their mom obtained flowers every 12 months on Mom's Day until she died of direction. This can be from random humans. However, at their mom's funeral, people testified to the presence of 2 tall women, unusually being gifted at their father's funeral as well. Atypical bearded men were seen to have come up to weep at the casket earlier than walking out. Several different suggested sightings have been said of both the Anglin brothers or Frank Morris in places in Florida or even in Brazil. Also, contrary to the preliminary FBI file, there were no car thefts said after their getaway. A countrywide geographic documentary proved this to now not be the case. They stated that a blue Chevrolet becomes said stolen in Marin County on that day, and that is corroborated with the aid of memories inside the San Francisco Examiner and the Humboldt instances. A motorist in Stockton, California, additionally suggested that he have been pressured off the street via 3 men in a blue Chevrolet. Day after today, what do you watched of the inaccurate FBI file on the stolen Chevrolet? Do you think they may be hiding something? Additionally, regarding the chance of drowning and hypothermia, the Anglin brothers already had enjoyed swimming in bloodless waters, so we realize that they might have survived the swim below calm tides. Today, many athletes take part in a triathlon occasion that includes swimming the identical course, and over time those amateur athletes have all been a success, but they have the tides on their facet. But investigators say that the tides could have been top enough around 11 p.m. on that day, that is close to after they set out on their journey, so it is clear that the swim from Alcatraz should have long passed both way. It is why the result of the research is still inconclusive. At the present time, it remains an impressive feat, and it makes you surprise why there is so much spent on preserving such minds in prison just to prove its notoriety. More so, whilst you recollect that the prison turned into the most high-priced to hold but unsustainable because of its consistent bombardment from salty seawater. Do you observed Morris and the Anglin brothers escaped the escape evidence facility? Let us understand within the feedback underneath. Did you experience this video? In case you did, make sure to offer it a like and test out for other tremendous criminal instances on the my channel. Thanks for looking, and we're going to see you subsequent time.